Hey everybody, it's Anna AL, and welcome to the Sanctum. So today's deck is the Mystical Healing reading cards by Anna Segal. It's a rock pool deck, and I wanted to share this deck because, as you all know from the other decks I've done, I love Anna Segal's work. First, I'm going to be honest, I love the magnetic boxes. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, I love them. Jake Baddeley is the one who did the artwork. And this artwork is a little bit different than you'll see on a lot of Ina's decks. Now, in regards to the book, it's a bigger book, kind of like her last one that I did. They are color inside. She has a thing about how to use the deck, gives you readings. You can do a energy reading, a future reading. You can do what's called a choice, a 6-card spread, which is really kind of neat. It's what is possible, a lesson, and an outcome for choices 1 and choice 2. Taking the next step kind of thing. And then each card, you can do like excess clear thinking. She gives develop what it means, and then your action. Make a list of what is important. And the action's kind of really neat. It gives you something to actually do to help you to put this card into use. So it's really, and the book is really great for self-work. Mystical Healing is really a self-work book. It is also really good for if you're doing readings for others, to give them practical work to do some shadow work with. So I want to show you some of the cards. And like I said, this deck is a little bit different from her other deck, the Heal Yourself deck, which is good. You can use them in tandem. You can use them separately. I've used them both ways. They deal with different aspects. So they look completely different for what they do. But when you use them together, they will give you a little bit more well-rounded healing aspects. And one's more internal, deeper, darker. One is more inside, outside. So it's kind of an interesting process. Like, temper your criticism. It's like I said, this one is a little bit more mental in a lot of ways. The other one was more emotional based, more psyche. This one is more your mentality, listening to your intuition, things that you can do to help you. I love this because it's like, it is a yes. Like, an actual yes card. Yes. How many of us have wanted a yes and no card, right? So these are important. I love this deck because it gives like an old medieval look for us. The one thing about this deck is that it has that glossy plastic coat a little bit, which stiffens the cards a little. They're a little bit thicker than I would say the Hay House Los Garibo decks. But the gloss look, which keeps them, from sticking, can also make them a little too shiny for like stuff as well. So, one of the things about these decks is that they are wide and long. So it does make them a little bit harder to shuffle. So if you have small hands, you're going to have to do like side riffles or just you'll have to do the method or just flop them around the desk and yeah. So I want to do a reading with this about things that we got to work on, things that we may have to do for ourselves, things that we need to reset within and mentally speaking, because let's be honest, coming out of the COVID-19 crisis, and we're not really out of it completely, especially for the Delta variant and the way that it's kind of taking over the world. And who knows what else will be coming shortly. But as we try to establish a new normal, and let's be honest, we can't go back to the old way. Old way ain't gonna work no more. Pretending that pandemics are not going to happen is not going to help us anymore. We need to reset our mentality on how we be safe. How do we cope with change like this? And more importantly, how do we heal from all this? I mean, wow. Let's be honest, from basically December of 2019 through now has been kind of rough for people. So let's take a look and see what we need to do to basically recover. It's important. So yeah. So I want to do something to help us get to that point. Perfect. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what we need to do. First off, we need to show ourselves some self-respect. And this is important. And we don't give ourselves enough respect for what we've gone through. And many of us who worked through this whole entire isolation and everything else, whether we worked from home, whether we worked in a small office that was just you and your boss, whether we took care of our kids and homeschooled, whether we worked the front lines. And for those of you who work the front lines, whether it be at the grocery store, whether it be in healthcare, freaking A, bless you. You saved my life this past year. Whether you guys did the Instacart, whether you guys stocked shelves, whether you guys ran the neighborhood pharmacies, you all saved many of our lives. Whether you guys did the cooking at the fast food places, the restaurants that did takeout, you saved millions of people's lives at the risk of your own. You need to show yourself some self-respect. Give yourself some fucking credit. It is important that you give yourself some fucking credit. It is the first way to heal. You deserve it. And that is what this is telling you. Part of the sun, you need to heal. Like when you come out into the sunlight and you lift up your face and you're like, oh gosh, the sun feels so good. And even for me, somebody who's not supposed to be in the sunlight that often, it's like, oh yeah. So you need to do that. The other thing is you need to assimilate your experience, the life experience that you've had. Not only the things that you've done prior to COVID, you need to assimilate both the good and the bad. And remember, the bad stuff is just teachable experience. It hurts. For gods, it hurts. But at the same time, you learned a lot from it, what not to do. And without having those what not to do experiences, the good experiences don't seem as good. They just are there. That's not to say that, you can't learn from the good, but it's harder to learn from good. When it's easy, it's not as simple. So take what you've learned from dealing with COVID, from the very first days of lockdown, from having to hear of the deaths growing every single day, the panic, the hysteria, the fear, and assimilate what that meant to you personally. If you had friends, family, or whomever who died, like I did, assimilate all the things that hurt, all the things that you had to do when you had to go to work. Take that all into consideration. And then, and only then, I want you to be just like in these things where they're leading they're having like their own little parade. Put them in order. Put the fear in its place. Put it in its box. Put it as a learning state. Put what you did into its box. How you coped. How you dealt with it. Or how you didn't deal with it. How it still kind of runs your life a little bit now. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% yet. I still have fear when I go out in public. And I don't go out in public that often. I'm talking, I go to my doctor's appointments. And I panic by having people around me not wearing masks, because I wear mine, because I'm immunocompromised, and I still have my groceries delivered, because no. And yeah, it's tough. So it's okay. It's going to take you time to assimilate all that life, all the things you've gone through the past 18 months. Create boundaries. Some of us have a problem making boundaries. Boundaries are hard. Say this far and no further. Hey, you're stepping in my space. Even if they're our boss. Especially online, people seem that they think that they can tell you what to do or demand more information that they deserve. We have to be able to create those boundaries and say, yeah, no, that's none of your business. And it's okay to say that. And it's okay to tell people no, that you don't have to work extra for this because of COVID or because of whatever. And especially if legally they can't make you. So make sure you know those things. Set those boundaries. Because you deserve to be treated right. You deserve to be treated well. Listen to your guardian angel. We all have someone, something, who helps guard us. Mine happens to be a 200 and something pound white tiger, Maj. She's a pain in my ass. My That is my guardian angel. She's been with me since I was little. Um, she thinks she's the boss of my universe. It's how it's always been. Um, when I start doing stuff that's heading in the wrong direction, she growls and starts saying a lot of crap. Sometimes I listen to her, and there have been times I've not. And I've paid the price when I've not listened to her. My life would be very different if I had listened to her. So there are a lot of ways to listen to your guardian. Whether it be an angel, a guardian animal. I have a friend who has a guardian frog. Pretty frog too. But yeah, take the time to listen to them. Get to know them. They will help you to start discerning better some of the pathways that are better for you to heal. And for pathways that you may be tempted to go down, and be able to work out whether it's truly best for you. Listen to your intuition. Okay. Most of us hear our intuition and then second guess ourselves. And we then kick ourselves in the ass because we basically overran our intuition and basically kicked ourselves in the ass hard. Your intuition puts shit together quicker than you do mentally. It puts all the things that you've seen together 4 times faster than you can actually consciously put together. Your intuition makes leaps in logic faster than you can think. That's why your intuition will say, yeah, no, don't do that. And you're like, well, I wonder if I should. Well, this looks okay. And your intuition's like, don't do it. When you start getting that, you need to take your intuition into consideration, because your intuition is seeing shit you aren't. You need to step back and say, why am I getting this feeling that I really shouldn't do this? Something about this doesn't seem right. And really think about it. What's giving you the heebie-jeebies? What's making you think, oh yeah, no, I can't do this? And even if you can't find the answer when you take the time to look, give yourself time to sleep on it, because sometimes it'll come out in your sleep. I've had that happen, and then woke up and realized, yeah, I ain't gonna do that. Because it played out in my sleep, and I realized, yeah, no, yeah, we ain't gonna go there. Nope. Examine your integrity. Okay, so a lot of shit has happened where our integrity is called into question. We believe that we would do anything right at any time, always. And then shit happens and we realize that no, really when life comes to play, we're good up until that moment. And then our integrity falls by the wayside. I've seen it happen time and again. People want to believe that they can be. They want to be that person of integrity. They want to live up to the ideal that they have of themselves. But it is very hard to be that person of integrity. To live up to the ideals that you've put forward. And when push comes to shove, and when it comes time that you actually have to live by that ideal, and you have to really, truly showcase that you are not afraid, then you realize that it's not as simple as you think. So you really need to examine where your integrity lies. I'm okay with living my integrity up until the point that X, Y, and Z are threatened. Or I believe that, this is true, but I'm going to have trouble when this is done because I don't know if I can handle X. A friend of mine straight out said, I believe in equality for everybody, but if people actually try to hurt me, I don't know if I can handle it. And I was like, okay, that's honest. That's quite honest. And it's not that they weren't saying that they don't believe that it's true, even if they were being tortured or being hurt. They were just saying that I don't know if I would just recant my belief to make them stop hurting me. And that's the mark of integrity. To say, look, if I'm being hurt, I may say that I don't believe it just to make them to stop hurting me. It's like, okay, anything to stop the pain. We're not trained to put up with a lot of pain. We're not trained to, like soldiers. And we have to be honest with ourselves about that. So examine your integrity. How much can you defend your integrity? What can your integrity live through? And where will integrity fall short? Take positive actions. So a lot of times we'll say we'll do, we go in certain ways and we'll do things and we want to do stuff, but we don't actually take the first steps to do positive. We'll talk positive. We'll be positive. Like, yes, I'm going to be like this today. But we actually don't make the actual action. I will walk 4,000 steps today, and we don't take more than like 100. You got to take those first steps. You've got to make the first 1,000 steps to make the first 4,000. You want to be more positive on people. That means you have to take those first steps. Make sure you say something nice to people every day. You want to be positive in regards to the way that this universe is being treating other people who are crapola. Then you need to go out of your way to help those that are being treated like shit. Be that positive force. You need to do that. You can't just sit there and say, I'm going to be this positive force. I'm going to be a positive ally without actually getting off your ass and doing something. In the end, you just will sit there and do nothing. Been there, did that for a few years and then realized, no, I actually got to do it. So then I did, and it's been easier. Contemplate death and beyond. All right. This is hard. This is going to be hard for any one of us. Unless you happen to be a couple of friends that I know who can think about their own death and be really kind of cool with it. I am not that person. But it's not completely true. You have to think about and consider the fact that you can die at any time. We all want to think that we live forever, but that's not true. Some of us want to think that we're going to live in an old age, but it's not true. But we have to consider the fact that we may die. But we also got to think about what do we think will be beyond our death? Um, do we live forever after that as a spirit? Now, because remember, all energy is still energy. All matter returns to matter. Um, so what happens to our spirit? What will happen to our spirit? What happens beyond? What do you want to happen beyond? Because part of that is kind of where you have the ability to make that decision. And you need to make a decision of where you want to do, where you want to go. Your body will just return to matter. But where your spirit goes is up to you. And that's something to consider. Different religions, different belief systems all have a say of what happens, have their own core whatevers. And it's neither here nor there or any of my business what you believe. My belief is mine. Very few people that I know, there are few people who know my belief and share something similar. And that's cool. But you need to consider it. One reason why I contemplate about what death will be like is that both my mom and my grandmother both died at age 57. I am getting towards that range. And so my fear of dying early at that age increases. My goal is to get past that age, as far past that age as I possibly can. That is my goal. So yeah, I've contemplated. I have worked to deal with what's beyond. This is something we have to do. And if we have kids, if we have family, how does our stuff get distributed? If we believe in resurrection, if we believe in reincarnation, we can't come back to ourselves. We can't come back to our life. So what are we asking to be reincarnated as? Where do we want to be? Where do we want to go? What do we want to do, for God's sakes? And you have to think on those things. And it's just, like a friend of mine told me, I'm going to put in a request that I can be X, Y, and Z so I can outlive climate change. I was like, cool. And it was an interesting concept because I had never thought of it that way. So this is something that you need to do. It's not easy. It's just not. But it's something to put in your head. And our last card is recognize divine timing. This is a hard one, okay? Divine timing is out there. Shit happens, there's synchronicity, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Things fall into place, things happen, and you're like, how the heck? And you have to recognize that something put all this in order for it to fall all into place at once. And you're like, whoa. Recognize it, acknowledge it. Those of you who know about numerology, when things hit 1111 or 444, 222, and things just sync up, synchronicity, that's divine timing. And divinity can be whatever you make of it, whether it's the logicalness of the universe, whether you think of a higher power, the elements. However, that divine timing allows you to, in that moment, as things just happen the way they need to happen, put out to the universe a positive thought. Thank you for allowing this to happen. And, I know that this is going to happen for me because you made this happen as well. Thank you so much. And by thanking the universe, thanking the divine, for the divine moment that occurred and for the divine moment for yourself that will happen, that positivity pays forward. So by accepting that, by recognizing that it does happen, it'll happen again. I have a friend of mine who started doing that, and their response recently was, "Do you know that like it's happened like 3 to 4 times a week now?" And I was like, "Uh huh." And they're like, "No, no, it used to like happen maybe once a month. It's not like every week." So it does happen, and the more you accept it, and the more you think it, and you realize it, the more you can actually have more of it, and things become better for you, and you can accomplish more, and you can do more, and you can pay it forward more, and those things become a better habit for you, because that's part of what this mystical healing does. It provides you an opportunity to help yourself and help others, and that's part of what these cards are. So that is your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. So let's talk about this deck. Again, it is the Mystical Healing deck by Ina Segal and by Jake Baddeley. It is a rock pool deck. You can get it from Rock Pool's website. You can buy it through multiple other locations like Barnes & Noble, Amazon, etc. I love the feel of the deck. It is a little bit glossy, so be warned. So it's got that little bit slick feel. So cards occasionally have the tendency to slide off of each other. But and they are big, so if you have small hands, it's a little bit harder to handle these decks. I love the holder because this makes it a lot easier to get in and out of the deck. And the book is big. Makes it a little bit harder to carry around if you're wanting to keep things small and compact. But damn, this series is really good. Between this and her Heal Herself deck, I love it. I would give this one a 6.3 because it really helps you. It's easy to use. It's not something you have to work hard on. But yeah, take the time, learn to do it. Get the deck if you want something to help you mentally, if you want something that will give you embodiment to work on, give you actual cues. This is the deck to use for yourself and for others. Especially, to give yourself that kind of a push. So until next time, Ben Dithian.